Well, welcome back. We are continuing our little Hillbilly Shipwright build series where we're building the 3 kit from Model Expo, Model Shipways kits. And this is the Norwegian Sailing Pram in 1/12 scale that we're doing. And we got up through, let me see, up to step 12, which is we're going to start working on our skeg. So we're going to do our skeg and our bilge keels, and then continue on taking care of all these little parts that we've got to get. Let's jump down to the bench here and see what the instructions wants us to do. So step 12 here, the skeg is a fin-like piece of wood that extends aft of the dagger board slot along the center line of the boat. It has 2 functions. One is to protect the rudder, and the other is to add some resistance to sideways drift of the boat when under sail. It assists the action of the dagger board, which we will deal with later on. Often the skeg is protected by a brass rub strip. So we need to put our boat back onto the building board there, and we need to check the profile of it and sand it so that it actually fits the bottom of our hull. Yeah, and then we're going to glue it into place there. So there you can see in this picture how it's supposed to look. There we go. So that is our skeg. So we need to get that cut out of our sheet. And it is marked for us there. Very convenient. Only 2 little tabs here to separate it. There we are. So I think the first thing we need to do is going to be to clean this up. At least square it off so that it looks right. We need to get rid of all that char there. So let's do that. I think I can use this little square right here. Well, let me get rid of that little tab right there, ever so carefully. That way we don't have that to deal with. Now I'm squaring these because the laser cut, which we've mentioned before, tends to cut more of the material away on the top of the piece of wood, and then as it goes through, it gets narrower at the bottom, so it's not really straight. It's not a straight cut there. So we need to square this up. I'm going to square it up on this end and also on the aft end of our skeg there. So I'm just using this metal square here to hold it flat, and then I'm running my sanding block against my surface here to kind of get that square edge going. Now we've done this before with some of the other parts. I just mention it because, there we go. Just in case you're joining us on this build at this point right here. And there we go. That's nice and square. So I need to do that also on the end of it right here. There we are. Now if you look, you can tell that it is not because of the way the laser cut it, it's not square right there, but we're going to take care of that. What I need to do, I'm going to square it up first, and I'm going to do it just like you see here, laying it down on our mat. I'm going to use the rounded end here of my sanding block. Kind of get our profile started for us. I'm not looking to remove all the char at this point, because that may come in handy when we're fitting it to the actual hull of the boat. But I think it would be nice if we started out mostly square. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take care of this. You see what I'm doing there. You can see how we're starting to get through all the char. We got more wood showing up right here because that's the angle of it. So once I get this squared out, then we'll be able to actually fit it to the hull of our boat. So I have taken care of that. I didn't remove all the char because we're going to have to fit this. And what I mean by that is that it needs to go right here on the bottom of the pram, and we have two laser cut lines there that's supposed to signify where that part's supposed to go. So if I line it up and we look at it from the side, you can see that we do have a gap. Ever so small, so we must have done okay with the building of our boat, which is good to know. So anyway, we need to make this profile fit our actual vessel. So what I'm going to do is take, now they recommend that you use rubber cement and actually glue a piece of sandpaper onto the boat, and then do what I'm about to do. And then when you're done, you remove the piece of sandpaper and all the rubber cement, and then once that's all cleaned up, you can attach it. I'm using emery cloth here that is cloth backed, so that's going to follow pretty well what we want to do with the curvature of our boat. And then I'm just going to hold it. I'm not going to glue it on. So you got to hold it vertical, which is kind of tricky. And lightly sand it. And we should be removing whatever spots that are high points in that arc that is going to interfere with a good seat. So doing our best to keep it square. Just sand it a little bit and then recheck it. See where we're at. I mean, it actually looks really good. We could probably attach it right now, but I'm just going to fine tune it a little bit more. That way I feel satisfied with it. So let me go ahead and fit this completely. You see what I'm doing and how I'm getting it done. Just be careful. You don't want to put a lot of stress on this because it is so thin up here on the end. You can bow it and not get the profile. So it's real light-handed. Just make sure that you keep it as vertical as you can there. So I've gotten it fit well enough that I like it. I am going to take this little sanding stick right here. This is a really fine modeling sanding stick, which I use on plastic models, and it works good on wood as well. Just to get rid of some of these fuzzies here. The little fibers that are kind of sticking out there. And now's a good time to give it a little preliminary sanding to kind of dress it up some. We'll probably hit it again later on. Just want to smooth everything out so it looks good. Now, when we go to attach this, not only do we need to be center of our keel plank here, which I'm not, but need to make sure that we've got good contact there. And then we also want to look at it when we attach it and make sure that this angle is correct. So it goes on right there, like so. If I get my thumb out of the way so you can see it. So we need to line up here with our transom, and that angle's good. I thought maybe we'd have to sand that, but it looks really good. So we got to do that. We got to be center of our keel plank, and then we also have to be square to the keel plank. So yeah, that's what we got going on. That should be easy, right? So what I have is I have some water, and I've got one of the brushes that came with the kit, because we ordered that kit that had everything, the glues and the knife and the paint and all that. So we have our glue and everything ready to go here. So I guess it's just go time. That's about all you can do, right? We are going to get some squeeze out, which is okay. I'm going to put glue all the way down. I'm putting the glue on the part instead of putting it on the keel plank. That way, wherever I stick this, that's where the majority of the glue, the squeeze out, and all that's going to be. And then we can just clean up any excess, because there is going to be some. Now you can apply your glue with a brush if you like, or that's what they recommend in the instructions. You know, big surprise, I'm not doing things the way they want me to. Whatever you're comfortable with. If this is the way you want to do it, or if you want to do it the way they want you to do it, then that'll be fine, I guess. Whatever you're comfortable with. So I want to kind of get a center at our transom there, and I'm just going to lay us down like that. I'm going to take my straight edge and push it forward. Like so. I'm just going to measure it out. Looks to be 6.5 there. 6.5 there. And I'm in line with our dagger board slot. So we'll just press it all the way down. As you can see, I'm doing this with the boat attached on the building board. That gives us support so that we're not kind of crushing anything in. That would be bad. So now I want to check and make sure that I am square. I'm just using the square end of my ruler to do that. Looks good. Didn't have nearly as much squeeze out as I thought I was going to have. Got some right there that I didn't quite get. So I'm going to take a little bit of water now and kind of go over it there and kind of dilute any remaining glue that's on the surface there and get it to soak up into the wood for us. That way we don't have any lumps. A little bit right there that doesn't want to go away. All right, so now that we're on and it is attached, that glue is amazing. I need to double check and make sure that I am vertical. Because once we let this dry, you're kind of stuck with it. All right, so we're going to let this dry. And then we can move on to the bilge kills. Okay, so we got our skeg on. That's part, or step 12. And you do the exact same thing to fit the bilge keys. Of course, we had to do some cleanup and get them straight from the laser cutting, like we've been doing. And I got most of the char off of it there, as you can see. So when you go to put this on, the only thing they give you, there's no measurements. The only thing they give you is you can see the skeg right there, and then you can see the bilge keels laying there. Did I call them keys before? May have. Anyway, these are the bilge keels, and they line up on the garboard plank to the inside edge there, as you can see right there. Now there are no measurements, so just kind of go with it. What I did is I took mine and laid them up to where it pretty much matches the picture. And so I made a mark. And I need them to be symmetrical from port to starboard side. So I put mine in from the actual stern of that plank there, 3 inches. You probably can't see that. So I marked it at 3 inches both sides. So that should keep us in alignment there. And we're going to glue these up same way we did our skeg there. And I will do that off camera because I'm going to have to bend it in to get it to fit correctly along the plank, because the plank being bowed, it's a little bit I got to run along that edge there. So that's where it's going to sit, just to the outside of the edge of our garboard plank there. Makes sense? I hope so. So I need to get both these glued up. Now what I did ahead of time is I have got these rubber bands in place there, so I can put them on our bilge keels here to keep everything in place while the glue sets up and dries for us. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on, and then we'll look and see what else we need to modify these once they're in place there. So there we are with our bilge keels in place. They look good. Now, we're not quite done with them yet, though. We do have to sand the outer surfaces vertical, as shown below. This completes work on the bottom of the boat. So, what they're talking about, I don't know if you can see this picture right here. There is a bevel on the outer edge of our bilge keels that we need to sand in. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Post-it notes. I'm going to put them right here on the hull of the boat to keep from marring it up. We don't want it all marred up there while we're raking a sanding stick or something along that edge. And then with the boat vertical or well, we're upside down, which is, it's kind of like me. Then we can stand our sanding stick vertical. And we can put that vertical edge right on our bilge keels here. So that's my method on getting that done. Did they intend me to do this? I don't know. I think whatever you can do to protect the surface of the bottom of the boat is probably going to be a good idea. So this is basswood, as we've mentioned before. So you want to do a little bit, very lightly, and check the progress. So I need to do a little bit more sanding on it there. And then I will move my Post-it notes over to the other side and then repeat the process. So there we are with our little bevel going on. Looks good. We got both sides done. Doesn't take long to do. Okay, so that's the bottom of the boat completed. So we're going to have to take a look and see what's next. Okay, so with the bilge keels completed, we're on to our dagger board case. The case is simply a box open at the top and bottom. The dagger board is a sort of fin that can be lowered or raised through it as circumstances dictate. In the lowered position, it reduces leeway, the effect of wind pushing the boat sideways when blowing from the side. The board is raised in shallow water or when beaching the boat. So we basically have two sides and two ends to put together, but we are going to have to fit them to the bottom of the boat, on the inside of the boat, as a matter of fact. So let's find our dagger board case. So here is the fret with all the parts on it that we need. We've got our dagger board case sides here. Now they tell us which is the bow side. So that's going to be important because they are kind of preformed for us. So I do want to indicate. I'll put a really light B for bow on it there so we don't get that mixed up. And then we got our case ends. So we're going to have to do everything pretty much, I guess, the same way. I'm not going to Also going to take out our dagger board. I'm going to cut it free because we need to check the fit just in case we get something wrong and need to take it back apart before we actually attach the case to the boat. So let me go ahead and free all this stuff up and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, for our dagger board case, we're gonna need our boat. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it off of our building board here. Don't think we're gonna need the building board anymore. We're not gonna throw it away just in case. So there's our dagger board slot. That's where the dagger board will protrude through the bottom of the hull. But you got to have a case around it so that it doesn't fill up with water, obviously. So we got to make that. So we have our, get these out of the way. There we go. Now, these are the spacers between the two sides. I have sanded off all the char on the inside. Now, they're not designated inside, outside, so it doesn't matter. Just pick a side. So, with that done, we have our two dagger boards here. And I've got the B marked for the bow. So we know which end goes forward. So B is going to go towards the bow. So I've clamped them up as square as I can get them here, because what I want to do is I want to sand the top of them flat. That's a little bit more difficult with the clamp there, but I can't affix these two together yet. There we go, that looks pretty good. We're in good shape there. A little bit of house cleaning. Now I want to check and make sure that I am square. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. So the next thing to do, I'm just going to move my clamp over here, is we have to fit the bottom to the curvature of our boat. I just noticed, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the slot is actually bigger than the case. So it shouldn't be that way. At any rate, we'll have to do some filling there. So I need to get rid of these nubs here. Don't really want to change the profile too much, but they do need to be square with one another. I'll just check and make sure that it's square. It looks square. So bow in forward. I want to check. And that looks like it's good enough. I guess. Okay. All right, with that done, you know, I think really I'm going to square all the sides. I was going to wait until after I put these on, but then when I do the glue up, I'm not going to be able to tell if I'm exactly square. So I am going to square it. Going to square it up here. As you can tell, it doesn't take much. And you pretty much got it. There we go. So I guess I'll clean all the edges and get them square. Hadn't really intended on doing that. I was going to do all three of them together, you know, with it glued up, but I need to be sure that I've got it glued up correctly. Yes, I like my sanding blocks, so if you don't have one, either make yourself one or get yourself one or whichever way you like to go with it there. So now what we're going to do, so we have the bow. I need to put an arrow showing where we are going to go towards the keel. We'll flush sand that later and clean all that up, but now with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to glue these spacers in, or the end blocks here, flush on both sides. Now this is going to extend through the bottom of the boat, so that's not a problem. That's going to go through the bottom of the boat. So we just need to, I probably should square the end of it too a little bit here, just so that I can make sure that the left and right sides are even with one another when we go to glue this up. Okay, so it's pretty simple. We're going to glue the sides on. Don't worry about the bottom. We've already checked that, so it's in the right configuration there. Right, not configuration, but orientation. So obviously this is easier to do one at a time, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what that's supposed to look like, except it's supposed to be even all the way around. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue this box up even all the way around, and then we'll take a look at it again. Okay, so I have our dagger board case glued up. We still have our B for bow and the little arrow on it telling us which way's down, which is always good to know. And I've gotten it fairly square, making sure that we're at least even on one side there. The other side, not too worried about. I mean, I can clean all that up. But before the glue completely sets up, although it's already grabbed, I need to make sure that there's no glue on the inside of our case there. And I'm just sliding the dagger board through to make sure that it'll go through. And it does. So we are in good shape. Now, that being said, when I mean, all these parts came out of the same thickness fret, so we are going to have to thin this board out because once it's painted, it's not going to fit. So that's something that we need to pay attention to there. So once this is dry, we're going to come back and flush it with the sandpaper there and make sure that everything's good and flush and square. Then we'll be ready to install it. So I'm going to let this dry completely and then we'll sand it all the way around there and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so I have sanded, I should say resanded. Make sure that we're all square here on the edges. So we're all set up, ready to go. I'm about to sand the sides of this, so I may lose my marks. So what I did was I went in and put a tick mark on the forward support there. So I know which way is towards the bow. And what we need to do now is we need to bevel our edges all the way around. I'm just using a soft sanding stick for that. Kind of roll them over a little bit there. Then we can dress up the sides there. Get all those little fuzzies off. Now, when you are using a pencil or any marking device on this basswood, it's probably a good idea for me to tell you that you need to go lightly, otherwise you will put a dent in the wood. Of course, you press down on wood, you can put a mark in it, so you don't want to do that. So, there we go. We're all set, ready to go here. So the whole idea here is the box goes in to our slot, which is too big. And it kind of worries me a little bit, but kind of not. For stability, I am going to glue mine up all the way back. And I'll just have this one space to fill up forward. And the reason why is because we have a frame that's going to sit in the boat here right up against this. The other thing is that, and I don't know if all the way to the back is a good idea or all the way forward, but I'm going to the back. You could do it in the middle. The problem is that we're going to have to measure from our box here forward to decide where the other frames go. So I am just going to go off the back of the slot in our keel plank there to determine that. So all we got to do is glue it up, put it in, and make sure that it is vertical. So you're going to have to kind of sight down it there. There's no real good place to put a square to make sure it's square, so so that's what I'm going to do. And I guess if our knee up here on our bow transom is square like it's supposed to be, you can just kind of eyeball it to that and then make sure it's square. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to glue this up off camera so I can see what I'm doing and get it where it's supposed to be. So we'll check it out after it's done. So here we have our daggered board case installed. Looks good. I think I got it straight. So, now the ends on the box or the case do extend below the keel plank, so we're going to have to trim those off. But before we do that, we've got to deal with this slot that is too large. So what I'm going to do, using the this is the fret that had our pieces on it. We're gonna cut us off a piece. That we can trim down and make a filler to go in place there. There we go. So we are going to have to do some sanding here. I just need to see how much. Hopefully I didn't cut it too small. All right, we can fine tune that. So the idea here is that when we get done, we'll have a filler piece in place. If I can hold on to it. There we go. So apparently you need fingernails too. Oh, so close, so close. Now, if everything was matching up right, we wouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to flip it around if I can get it to go. All right, so that's the idea anyway. I am going to fine tune this. And I'm going to glue it into place. Once I get it glued into place, I'll show you how we're going to deal with trimming it up. Okay. Well, I was going to, but I'll just show you how I'm plugging this. Got glue in the hole there. Set my glue aside. There we go. So we are inserted there. Get the glue around the, down around the actual piece. Kind of let it soak in there. So why go to all that trouble? Well, we want it to look right. And we're using wood, so I'm going to use wood to fill wood as much as I can. Just use a little water here to kind of get it to get down in there. There we go. So obviously we're going to have to let that dry, and then I'll come back and trim and sand it. And we have to trim these. So I think the glue is dry enough for us. I'm going to come in with an X-Acto chisel here. And try to chisel this off. Without digging into the floor plank there, I think we can do this. Oh yeah, we got this. Yep, there it goes. Just carefully chisel it down. Not making too much of a mess of it there, I hope. I may have to get a small sanding stick or something in there. There it comes. Okay. So that's our little plug. We got that. So on this side, all we really need to do is carefully come in and sand these down. Flush. So, yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sand these down. They should be flush with the keel plank. So I am holding it by the dagger board case so as to not put stress on the boat while I am sanding this down. We're awful close there to our skag, so we have to be careful there. I already got this one sanded down. That doesn't look too bad, really. We're in good shape there. Once we get that painted, you won't even know it's there. And that's what it looks like. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we've got our dagger board case installed. Next is the bottom frames. There are 3 frames that cross the keel plank at right angles. To locate these inside the boat, use the tick strips provided on page 4. Cut them out, place one end against the dagger board case end, and mark out the keel plank, like so. And then the very first frame that we're going to be doing will be frame number 3. It is the easiest of the 3 to install. Remove it from the sheet and test fit it. We want to be careful. There should neither be obvious gaps, nor should the frame push the size of the hole out. A spare frame is provided should things go sideways. Well, that's kind of what happens. Anyway, so that's what it looks like, and I have already cut it out, as you can see here. First thing we need to do is go ahead and mark the hull. So frames 1 and 2 are the ones that we're going to mark. Frame 3 sets up against the aft end of the dagger board case. So that'll be the easiest one to do. We'll do that one first, of course, but we need to prepare our tick strip. So what we have is a copy of our instruction booklet page that has our tick strips on it. Because I didn't really want to cut up the book. All right. So the one that we're talking about is going to be this one right here. I'll just cut it free. Get right on the line. So we'll be as accurate as possible there. Well, let me just go cut this out. So you don't need to watch me do that, do you? So here we are, it's all cut out. Now I'm not going to cut the other ones out yet. I'm just going to cut them out whenever we need to use them. That way we don't lose them. So we'll put those aside for safekeeping. So let's go ahead. Now our strip's a little different than the one that they show, but that's okay. I'm sure the measurements are the same. So we're gonna, where's my tweezers? There we go. We'll lay this center line as best as we can, right up against the dagger board case there. And we're just going to mark this. Lets us know right where these items are supposed to be placed. So our tick marks are in. Put that aside. We may never need that again, but just want to make sure that we know exactly where those marks are. So that's done. It's marked. The next thing is the number 3 bottom frame here. We're going to have to do some cleanup and stuff. I just want to see if it actually fits in the boat. So its position is right up against the dagger board case, just like so. And as you can see, we do have some gaps. It should set flush on the bottom. However, there are some drain holes in it. That's a drain hole there, and then either side here should be drain spaces as well. So I'm going to remove the char and I'm going to square the top surface because when installed vertically, that surface right there should be it should be straight instead of angled. as our laser cut has it. And you guys have seen me do this before. So we're going to do it again to get that angle taken care of there. And I'll show you how much you need to straighten up there. Just be aware that this is basswood. It's not oak, and you can break it. So we don't want to break anything again. So anyway, you can see how it's way off on being actually square. So I'm going to go ahead and square this, and I'm going to remove the char on the bottom there, and then we're going to start fitting it. So I have all the preliminary sanding done. I've got this corrected, that angle. Whoops. There we go. That angle right there. And most of the char has been removed, but we're going to be doing some sanding here. So what I need to do is line this up in the middle, like so. I'm going to have to set it down. I don't know if you remember my pencil from the dory, but there it is. And I'm just going to make a mark, if I can hold on to it. I'm going to run it along the plank where it's making contact, I think. I'm going to have to move my hand. Oh. Did I bump the camera? Here we go. Yeah, I can see it. I don't know if you can, but there's a slight angle on it right there. So what I need to do is correct this angle. We'll take a few passes. Don't want to do too much at once, because if I do, then we'll be in trouble. They give us an extra one of these in case we make a mistake. So I guess that's our learning curve there. So what we're doing is adjusting that angle. And we can put it back in, preferably in the middle. And see where we're at. Okay, so I can tell what I need to do there. So we're just going to keep sanding it. Removing the high end up here. As we do that, it should settle down into the bottom of the boat. So I'm going to keep making these adjustments until we get there. I mean, there's really not any other way to do it. You just got to fit it in there. Yeah, we're making progress. If you want a good fit, this is how you're going to have to do it. So, a little bit at a time. So, I have it fit, as you can see there. And I also drew me a line So I wanted to be careful to make sure that we get it in the middle. So it needs to be symmetrical. It needs to go across the bottom of the pram here. So if you measure it from this corner here to just above the line where those planks meet on either side, just to make sure that it's square with the transom there, the aft transom, so that we know when we glue it in that it's going to be square. So the only thing left to do now is to glue it in. We want to be careful though when we glue it that we don't put glue in these drain holes. So we got 2 drain holes there. We also have these drain slot or holes left or right. So there should be spaces there. I can probably make those a little larger. I think I will. If I can find something to make it larger with. Just kind of straighten them up a little bit. Like so. Clean them up good. Now, before we glue this in, one of the things that we do need to do, is we need to give it a good sanding. And then for the top edge, that's this edge right here, either side, we need to bevel that, because on the interior surfaces, no sharp edges. So about a 45-degree bevel is about all you need. So I'm just putting the bevel in, and then we're going to come back with our other sanding stick, the foam backed one here, and kind of smooth everything out. Just like that. I know it's so riveting to watch somebody sand wood. It's just slightly better than watching paint dry. But we're going to remove as many whiskers and everything as we can before we get it down inside the boat there, because that is going to be hard to do once it's in the boat. I just don't want any whiskers there sticking out anywhere. Okay. So that should be good. Look at it one last time, make sure that I didn't miss anything, which I may have. I'm not on my line. There we go. So it goes all the way up against the dagger board case, and then it needs to be symmetrically crossways of the bottom of our pram there. So nothing left to do but glue it up. So let me get this glued up. So we have our number 3 frame in place. Where's my ruler? Okay, one thing that you need to check before you glue this in. I've already glued mine in, but you want to make sure that the sides of our pram here are not splayed out any further than 3 3/4 inches. And we are at 3 and a little more than 5/8, so we're good. We're good. So that's that frame glued in. We're ready to go to our number 2, which we've already put our tick marks in there for it. And I've went ahead and cleaned it up along with our number 1 frame. So the number 1 frame, of course, goes up here, and then this one will go in here. Now, the problem with these 2 frames, as you see, they're sitting incorrectly. If this is the boat sitting on the water, you can see that those 2 frames are leaning, and they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be straight up and down. And I do that with my, here, I'm gonna do it like this. Yeah, they're supposed to be like that. That means when we fit these into place, we're gonna have to sand them at an angle. Yep, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I will take and sand these. Yeah. I'm going to sand these on, at an angle. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. Just like I did with our number 3 frame. Because I want to get the angles right, and I need to get the depth, how much to remove, right. So a little bit at a time, and then we'll just kind of walk this thing into place here. So I'll let you take a look at it after I get it sanded down. Lost my ruler. There we go. So yeah, that's where it needs to be. I've got it all sanded up there. What I'm doing now is to check how far away it is from our number 3 frame. Looks like 72 millimeters. Hard to see. Am I 71? I don't know. Yeah, 71. 71 millimeters and 71 millimeters. Okay. So I just want to be sure that I'm vertical here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, whoops, draw a crooked line. It was supposed to be straight. At any rate, that's my line. So when I glue this number 2 frame in, I've got a reference where it needs to go back. After I get it glued up, we'll see if it actually goes back in there. Yeah. So I should be able to get it back in there, no problem. So, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this one up. And as you can see, we have the bevels on there. Also, you need to come in and the drain holes that are here in the corners, you need to put those on an angle as well. Because if you don't do that, then it's going to kind of disappear because of the bevel that you see that we got going on there. Yeah. So by the time you get everything sanded and reduced down so that it'll fit, those little drain holes there will disappear on the forward side. So you're going to have to reestablish those. So yeah. So I need to get that glued in, and then I need to do the same thing to this one. This one ought to go pretty quick because there's not that much surface to have to worry about. And coincidentally, it doesn't have any drain holes. But anyway, I don't guess it's supposed to. All right, so let's glue these in. So I've got all of them glued in. They look pretty good. I got a little bit of a gap right there, although it's snug on the front side, but all of this is going to get painted, so if we have any inconsistencies, we can use some filler there. We may even make our own filler with sawdust and a little bit of white glue. But that aside, it looks good. So next is going to be our inwales. Yes, so we got all of our frames done. And these are just strips of square section wood that reinforce the top edge of the shear strake. That's our top plank. As their name implies, they attach to the inner sides of these planks. So we need two 3/32 square strips of wood and pre-bend them using one of the bending techniques previously described. And then we'll have to fit them, and it tells us how to do that. But luckily, I'm here to figure all that out. So one of the things that I did was to go through and figure out where all of our strips go. These are the rub rails. These goes on the outside of our shear strake, but that's later on. But I've got them labeled. These are our floorboard cleats. And there's a couple of other things that we'll be making out of these. So got those labeled. And then, of course, here are our inwales. I want to call them rails, but they're not. Inwales. And these are the 3/32 square pieces. Yeah, they kind of look square. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these and I'm going to soak them in water because they don't really want to bend for us. And then I'm going to just clamp them to the outside of the shear strake and let it dry to get rid of most of this bend that we got there. That way it'll be easier for us to install them. That's my plan anyway. It should work, right? We're gonna actually use the boat to do that for us there. So I need to soak these in water. I'm gonna give them about 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna clamp them up to our shear strake on both port and starboard side, and then put them in the sun and let them dry. So I'm just dabbing off the excess water. Now, no matter how square a piece of wood is, there is always one side that is taller than the other in these kits. So I'm just picking it. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use the boat itself as the form. To bend our wood. So I said like 20 minutes, but it's been more like 40 minutes, I think. I just had a clamping issue there. All right. I can get this clamped up. So I'm using the boat to help me form the pieces that I need to install. So these pieces are for our end rails. Inwales. I said rails again, didn't I? So don't have to be very precise. We just need to get that arch going right there, because we're going to cut and trim these and we're going to glue them to the inside. Inwales. So they're going to go inboard. So I'm going to set mine out in the sun. We got a nice sunny day, and I'm going to let them dry. Shouldn't take very long. All right, so I have let these dry. They're completely dry. We can take them off. And so they kind of got a bend to them. That should help us when we go to put it inside our boat here. So the instructions tell us to start at the stern transom, but I don't think it matters. We'll just set that in the side there. Gonna need those clamps later. So the whole idea is to get this to fit. The most important thing, well, actually, before we do that, we need to sand that. I mean, it was kind of rough cut anyway, so. We're going to sand it, get it nice and smooth. All right, so we've got it sanded, got rid of all the fuzzies there. Now what I need to do is I need to match this profile of the bow transom here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clamp that into place like so. I'm just going to take a piece of wood and a pencil. Make sure it's right where it's supposed to be. Probably would help if it wasn't rocking. All right. Get you guys a little closer. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if I can do this and you see what I'm doing. Just going to put a piece of wood up right here. Put my pencil against it. Make a line. So I'm going off the thickness of this. There we go. Now we have our profile right on the end. So what we need to do is we need to match that profile by sanding it. Now I know I've got a ways to go, but the whole idea here is that I will be able to make adjustments to how I'm holding things until I get the actual profile. So you don't have to actually sand it all the way off, because at this point length is not the problem. its contact. So if I line that back up, well, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Not bad. I like it. We're going to go with it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'll just explain it real quick. We need to be, well, I can't get that. Need to be even with the top of our shear plank. Needs to be flush, and it's supposed to kind of have this bevel on it. This can't, so that's fine. We don't have to adjust anything. And we're going to glue it up. We're going to glue it up probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches, something like that. And then we'll fit the rest of it in until we get back here. And we have to make some adjustments to get it just to fit nice and snug on our stern transom there. So I'm gonna get some glue on this. So I glued up here about 2 inches. I just got clamps on it here holding it into position. So now going towards the stern here. So what I want is I want it to go to the inside, and I need to be able to sand it so that it fits the profile of our stern transom. So I'm going to use these wire cutters here. Now that's going to pinch the wood, and I already know that. So make allowances for it there. At least I hope I made allowances for it. By the time I get it sanded down for it to fit, hopefully that pinch won't be there anymore. I think maybe we overdid it. Got a little too close, but that's okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna wet it with some water. I'm gonna let it expand. I'm just gonna let it dry. If you got a hair dryer or something, that'll be fine. Probably should have cut it the other way, but anyway. A little bit of water there. It should expand for us. And I believe all that's going to be sanded away anyway. So let me let that dry. I'm going to go ahead and fit the other side for the the bow transom there. And it'll be ready to go. All right, so we need to sand this end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some painter's tape here on the back side of my emery board so that it won't be cutting into our transom. And I think this will work. I just need it cut off close. There we go. All right. There we go. So what we want is we want to get that profile. And I did mark it, but not so sure. Probably best to go sideways here. Yeah, want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. As you can see, we've got that profile started. And it's going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until we get a perfect fit. I hope that all makes sense to you. Just don't want to overdo it. I probably should have just put the tape all the way across, but I didn't. I didn't do that. So we're actually just using the transom here as our sanding guide. You do want to make sure that you're not cutting into the shear strake there. And as long as we keep it really close to where it's going to line up on the plank, we should come out with a really nice nice angle there. Lucky for us, there's nothing here on the transom that's in our way. Nothing that would prevent our wood from actually sitting down right where it's supposed to. And we do want to be careful. The closer we get, the more we need to check. That way we don't go too far, because if we go too far, well, it'll be too short. And we don't want it short. We want a perfect fit. So we're getting really close here. So it's easier for me to do that off camera, but you see the madness in my method here on how we're going to get that angle just right. Then all we got to do is glue it up. We got a really nice fit going there. That is going to be really, really nice once we get it all glued in. Got it too close to the camera, sorry. Yeah, that is nice. I just need to clean it up there a little bit there. Always fighting the whiskers. Find something else here. There we go. Oh yeah. That's nice. Almost like it's made to fit there. So all we got to do now is just glue it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this up. This is easy. Just want to make sure that we stay flush with the top of our plank there, all the way down. So I'm going to glue this up and clamp it up, and then we can go ahead and do the other one. And so I went ahead and glued up our about to call them the wrong thing again, inwales, because they are the whales and they are inboard. So yeah, those come out really good. It really helped preformed them on the outside of the boat, so we weren't fighting it. So next up, let's see. So that was 16. Step 16 is our stern quarter knees. Quarter knees tie the tops of the sides and transom together and further strengthen the top of the boat. Remove the knees from the sheet and clean up their edges as usual. The side arm that abuts the inwale, which is the parts that we just put in, does not need any bevel. However, and here's a word for you, the athwartship's arm, which would be the one facing aft, that attaches to the transom, will need an underbevel in order to fay or sit in close contact with it. You may find that you need to adjust the angle as seen from above to fit your own model. Make sure that you bevel a left and right hand pair, not two of the same. And that's because they're going to be on the port and starboard side of our transom here. So I've already freed our quarter knees from the fret. So where these go is right here. And as you can see, the aft part of the knee or quarter knee is going to have to be beveled so that it will interface with our transom there, as you can see. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean these up first. Now you guys have already seen me do this, so I won't bore you with it. So I am going to clean up all the char and square and fix this radius right here because it's not going to be straight at a 90 degrees. So yeah, so I need to fix all this first. So I'll fix both of these and then we'll see what we got to do to bevel them in. Now with the knee or the quarter knee all cleaned up, we got to figure out a way to mark this thing. So I'm going to use some Tamiya masking tape here. If it will hold it in place for me. Like so. Maybe I can use the same method that I did before to kind of transcribe an angle. Scribe an angle. I don't know what I'm transcribing, but whatever it is, I'm doing it. So kind of want it. It'd be nice if I could make it perfect with the, I don't know, there, I'm sorry. Get it to come out exact. That would be great. So that's kind of what we need. Save the tape. Going to be needing that again. So all of this has to go. All I got to do now is figure out how to do that consistently. Well, I'm just going to have to hold it and sand it, I guess. Probably the best thing to do. Since I've already sanded all the char off because we needed to square this, I just put pencil line on there. So as I'm sanding, I can tell if I'm getting off, you know, like this way or that way. So I hope I don't mess this up. If I do, I have to make some new ones. I'm just going to line my sanding block up like so. And we're going to give it a go. Yeah, see, that's kind of what I'm talking about. See, I'm sanding heavier here than there. So I need to adjust the way I'm doing things. Otherwise, we're not going to come out like we hope to. There we go. Getting better. So it always helps if you've got a frame of reference, and that's what that little line right there is giving me. Probably at this stage wouldn't hurt to kind of throw this on the boat and see if we are making the correct amount of progress. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks good. That's going to look real good. So, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to keep sanding this one until I get it right. And we'll do the same thing for the quarter knee on the starboard side. Something to point out though is that these legs on it here, you have a long one and a short one. And looking at it in the book, they're beveling the short side, so that's the transom side, and this is the inwale side, the long side. So just in case, I mean, they're not symmetrical, so you do have to pay attention to which way you're going to do this. Now, of course, this one on the opposite side, it's going to be the mirror image of this one. So that's the deal there. So I'm going to keep sanding this until I get it to meet right along that edge and on our line. Okay, so I've gotten it sanded, as you can see there. I think you can. I think you can see that. If I'd show it to you, you can see it. Just gonna try to line it up here, right where it goes. Yeah, like that. That wasn't so bad. All right, so I got to do the one for the other side. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to have my reference line. The only different, reference line. That way I'm doing a left and a right, and not two lefts or two rights. So, okay. So getting our angle wasn't quite as hard as I thought it was going to be, which is always a good thing. Just remember though, you got to have a left and a right. You don't want to make two lefts. So, that would be bad. So now what we've got to do is get this glued up. Probably should just use my toothpick here to make sure I'm level. with my inwale. There we go. So we got it right there with the inwale. So there's going to be a little bit of cleanup on the bottom, which I don't think you guys can see the glue. Well, maybe you can. Well, what I don't want to do is I don't want to be knocking this piece around. Make sure we're lined up good before I turn it loose for eternity here. So, a little bit of water. We'll clean that up. And water underneath here. Such a small space. It's really hard to get into. Lucky for us, the knee has that cant coming up, so we can get in there. So if we do everything right, they should match left and right here. Always a big if. I need to change fingers here. That's kind of difficult there. So, once again, I'll use the toothpick. Kind of press it down. So this yellow glue does grab quickly, so we need to be like ready for that. Well, this one's not going as fast or as swimmingly as the other one did. So, and if we're slightly off, we can correct that with a sanding stick. Although I think we're okay. Yeah, we're fine. Same thing here. I'm going to clean up the glue. I kind of hate doing it this way with the brush, but you really don't have much choice. Because otherwise you're just going to have some glue here and there that you can't get to. And the only reason why I say that is because you're going to get some of this glue residue down onto the wood, and if later on we decide to build a boat, you know, or a ship, where we're going to leave the wood natural or stain it, if there's glue in the pores of the wood, that may affect the stain finish or something like that. So, all right, that's nice. So I've already cleaned up the quarter knees for the bow transom, but I've not beveled them yet. So I'll go ahead and bevel them and install them, and then we'll see what we have there. Okay, so I guess that'll do it for this video. I may have missed something there. So We got all of our quarter knees in on the stern. And also, I went ahead and did the bow. So, I'm going to have to let that dry so it'll be nice and solid. We're not going to be breaking anything else loose. So, we managed to get those quarter knees, the inwales, I keep calling them rails, and then all of our frames in too, so that's good. In our dagger board box. So that'll be it for this video. Look for the next one. It'll be coming up soon. Special thanks to all my subscribers. Because of you guys that I keep making these videos, and I hope that you enjoyed this one. And if you're new to the channel and not a subscriber, I hope that I earned your subscription, if I can say it. So until I see you guys again, stay safe.